It's okay. I'll calm myself.
Please.
Theodosis will be our British at the right side of Kolodny Firma, and one of our favourite Germans will be Fahu at the left side as the OKW.
I like it when Fahu plays as the Germans because I feel like he fights harder. Um,
Actually, a big shout out as well to Rita Rush who recently did a painting of you, myself, Fahu, and Dusty as RAF pilots, I believe it was.
yeah.
I was a pilot.
It was actually. I was a little upset with that actually because it just looks like I'm handing rope to Fahu, and Fahu, the German spies, we're about to rope everybody up.
Oh,
So,
okay. Wow.
kind of looks like I'm aiding the enemy in that picture.
You're analyzing this
but-
way more than I did. I mean,
Oh, really?
my
You
first
just took
impression.
it at face value. For me, I'm always questioning Rita. I'm like, why did she draw me in that pose? You know, like why am I handing this strip of rope to Fahu? What's the meaning of this?
Well, my
I'm
first
sure Rita is.
my first
one of
impression
those.
was, wait, is this supposed to be Brits? Because the uniforms are really dark, and I thought the uniforms were bright like the American ones, which are that tan brown color. But no, the RAF uniforms, they were actually quite navy blue, which I didn't know that.
GG, now that you've turned off your historical skins, you may be able to see the universal carrier there.
Yeah, I can see it. Yep. Very, very bright
So
and
there you
red.
go.
That's the
Add
Valkyria
a
skin,
little
right?
bit of fantasy to the game.
Also made
Um,
by Rita Rush, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I believe this is one of the Valkyrie
Well, there you go.
skins.
So this quarterfinals now is basically a tribute to Rita Rush by the sounds of it.
Well, let's have a little talk about this. This is the first time we've seen Brits so far this tournament on stream, and Theodosis, haven't seen him play in this faction much before, so be interested to see what he does. I love that the the Universal Carrier has come out as one of the starting units as well. So let's see how he does with this. He's gone for quite a conservative start. Of course, Brits being fairly defensive.
One thing I love about casting Brits is I feel like Brits doesn't have the established meta that other factions do. Whenever I cast Brits, I have no idea what to expect. Here we have triple Tommies and an infantry and a universal carrier. So this is really bizarre. Where normally I think what we see for the most part is two Tommies, a Vickers into a quick sniper. But in this case, no, it's more infantry presence. And I think this works really well in terms of late game scaling because the three Tommies, if you get them at vet with the Brens, with the squad size upgrade, they trade incredibly effectively against really any Axis infantry. But you can struggle a little bit in the mid game, especially against light vehicles. However, Fahu has gone for his battle grouper, so not going to be any threat of light vehicles unless he pulls out a flak half track, which is unlikely.
Well, saying that, I mean, the flak half-track has worked fairly well in some of the games we've seen recently for OKW. Not sure how it will fare up against the Brits, though. That's going to be the one downside of that. But it's a very early battle grouper, and whilst it's going to give him good healing, because of course he is going to need full health squads to really stand toe-to-toe with the Brits in a lot of engagements. I think one of the real big benefits here is going to be the ISG. It's very, very good against infantry that are taking holding green cover. It's also going to be good in case Theodosis does decide to go for any emplacements, such as the mortar pit or the Bofors. So I think, you know, the early battle grouper is very good, and we see one of the reasons he's gone for it now. It's actually the MG. Perhaps that's his game. He wants to get that out on the field as quick as possible to help him hold some territory.
So we actually don't have the Royal Engineer. Oh, the Faust is going to connect on the Universal Carrier. Should be okay. It's in a fairly defensible... Well, no, the Tommies have to retreat. So actually he may lose this Universal Carrier. Hasn't had any impact. It's killed one model of a Volt, but that's about it. The Panzerfaust is recharging, so it should be able to finish this one off. Engineers are moving in to try and save their poor, dear, unfortunate friend, but alas, the Faust will connect. And there goes a Universal Carrier.
Yeah, that's a really nice play from Fahu there. The battle grouper actually really helped him in dealing with that Bren. Now we see Theodosis, who's trying to take this house in the center, but the MG just gets in there ahead of him and does force that Tommy away. So I would actually say Theodosis not having one of the best of starts here. And Fahu's about to bring out another squad of Stern Pioneers, and this is a strategy I actually saw Vindicare playing when I played against him recently. Very, very strong on this map, the double Stern Pioneers. Really, really good for OKW.
Theodosis now going for the AEC, so that's going to give him a little bit more aggressive map control as the Brits. You can drive around, forcing away squads. I think Stern Pioneers work better off against Brits than what they do other allied factions, just because the Tommy squads are pretty weak up close. So if you can get up close, those Stern Pioneers are going to be very effective against them. Where against US, for example, the riflemen are really good at medium and decent at close range. So it's harder to have those nice engagements, especially as the riflemen do vet up.
Going to be some interesting engagements in this game, partly because there's a lot of cover positions being built by both sides, and these green cover engagements are obviously lasting a little bit longer as well, so there's a lot more time for indirect options to rain down, a lot more focus on perhaps the positioning and health loss in all of this. AC rips in through the center. Oh, there we go, we just see Stern Pioneers tripping a mine in the south, probably going to prompt the combat package, sorry, with the Minesweeper upgrade.
I never understood support package. Yeah, the combat package is the Shreks. So Theodosis, he has a better manpower here. What's his game plan? I think he has two options: sniper or a mortar pit. Infiltration? No, the flame nade going to be forcing away the Tommies there. I think a mortar pit would be nice, but he's going to need to get a Vickers to actually hold it. I think that's one of the weaknesses here of Theodosis is without that Vickers, he's losing his cutoff, which he otherwise would normally have had the Vickers in either the church or the house next to the strat point on the right side, which then can also flush out. If there's an MG in the church, the Vickers will trade that out very effectively, especially against the MG34. It will be the sniper, so that'll allow him to walk around looking for some manpower bleed. Just has to be careful about getting flanked, especially by those Stern Pioneers.
I think Sniper's a pretty good one. We don't have the Jaeger infantry as a select option, so Sniper could be fairly safe. Otherwise, Fahu's going to have to go maybe Luftwaffe to try and just pop out and get a kill on it. But Luftwaffe is a weird one because, of course, you don't get that much of a late game with it. Look at this flank from the Stern Pioneers on the munitions. Probably going to walk. Oh, it's actually his mine. Sorry, it's my fault there. That's the one he laid earlier. So that was actually an okay flank.
The map controller is starting to crumble a little bit here for Theodosis. He's a long way off getting his Cromwell out, which is the dream for any Brit player, is get a Cromwell. And don't just stop there. Dream big. Be ambitious. Get 2 Cromwells. Get 3 Cromwells even. That seems to be the go-to. The Cromwells are so effective against infantry. They wipe squads very easily. They can crush them. They're pretty good against Panzer IVs, despite how cheap they are. So they're pretty much the go-to unit for every Brit player. But getting to that Cromwell is where it's a little bit hard, especially since Theodosis has the AEC, which will delay his Cromwell, but it will give him more map control to try and hold more fuel points to get the Cromwell out. And having a look at Fahu, he's actually got a fair bit of fuel here. Gonna need a lot more to get a Panzer IV out, but it shouldn't take him too long. He's had the fuel advantage for pretty much the entire game.
Yeah, he's got a good advantage at the moment, which I really hope he doesn't let go. My surprise at the moment is that neither player has gone for any kind of indirect fire yet. It is kind of surprising not to see a mortar from the Brits, given they are very, very strong on a map like this. That position behind the house can cover 2 VPs very, very easily, and those kind of model wipes are just so important, especially with the sniper. He'd be really, really effective at maybe just picking some squads off. Nothing at all though, not even the ISG, which I think would be very, very good against the Brits, especially all these little sandbag locations hanging around.
There isn't the Vickers, so there's less reason to go for the ISG, but yeah, I think it'd be a good investment. It's always worth having an ISG. It's just free manpower bleed. You know, you sit around behind the house. It's pretty good, pretty safe. And Brits are very static squads. They don't want to be moving around. They want to be sticking behind heavy cover. So if you can destroy the cover, if you can do some damage, it makes it a little bit harder for them to engage. But a pretty good infantry mix. There's 3 Volks, 2 Sturms. So Fahu has a very infantry-heavy build, which...
Quite interesting as well. You see Theodosis here trying to destroy this house on his back lines with the AT gun. So I think maybe he's preparing, because he has the sniper, maybe preparing for the possibility of Fallschirmjäger to jump out from behind the lines. And I really like his forward planning there. That's someone who's really thinking about the later stages of the game, you know, trying to protect himself from the possibility of a counter, which I really, really like.
So I think it's showing that Theodosis has no plans to go for a mortar pit. If he was going to go for a mortar pit, he probably would have left a Vickers in that house and then built the mortar pit behind it. I mean, you can, of course, go mortar pit without the Vickers, but it's very easy to then get forced off, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of Volks throwing incendiary grenades, there's an ISG raining barrage, and then you can lose that mortar pit quite quickly. So having the defensive safety net of the Vickers, I think, is generally required if you're going to go mortar pit. Isn't always the case,
could be a really
however.
nice play here. Oh, sorry, it looks like Theodosis just managed to get out of that. I'm sorry to cut you short there. Could have been a Faust and a Raketten on the AEC.
Sturms go down.
Theodosis was so quick on the smoke. Really, really good micro there.
Sturms on the fuel got finished off by the Tommies. So cut off there as the casters go. But 2 Rakettens here for Fahu. He's going to need that against the Cromwell. So I love how he has the foresight to get that AT prepared, and that's what we've seen some players lose to. A lot of players lose to it. Really, is not having the AT required. Theodosis is still a fair bit off though. He only has 36 fuel. At least he does have the company command post unlocked, but it's going to take him a bit to get that. Fahu having now the special operations locked in, will have the infiltration grenades, having access to the command Panther, but he already has his Panzer headquarters, so he must have a plan for this. Maybe he wants to go STG Obers?
Could be an option here. I mean, again, they're quite good against units that are in cover positions. The STGs negating a little bit of cover benefits. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, the Special Operations Commander, the sight that it gives usually works well with something like a Stuka. Also, of course, you know, if you're not planning on using Tier 4, then you do get the benefit of the Command Panther as a call-in. But of course, his Tier 4 is built quite back, so I'm not 100% sure on the command choice given over what he had. Maybe it was the better one, though.
So Theodosis is going for this mortar pit. So, surprising me a little bit there, but I think it's going to be hard for him. Oh, I see what his plan is. Okay, maybe he's going to go for the air supply operation. We actually get a Vickers and a 6-pounder, and then he can support his mortar pit with that. Putting a mine down as well, so Theodosis is preparing the defense for this mortar pit.
That's quite a nice idea, actually, because you know, a lot of the times with the mortar pits that do go up early, you give your opponent a chance. There's a good window of time there that mortar pit can be pushed quite hard. Of course, you get a good retreat off the Brits, incendiaries go down with the infiltration nades. Can be very, very good. So this, yeah, this late mortar pit, you make a very good point there. Really is going to do well now, thanks to the protection it has from all these other units. So this is a good play from Theodosis. He's really thinking about his composition and what he needs to make sure that everything works and functions correctly to its maximum potential. Fahu here getting pushed off with his MG. The AC comes in as well to try and take down the MG. Is he going to push it though? Theodosis doesn't actually go in for the kill there. Maybe he's worried about some mines from Fahu.
The Raketten was stealthed in position, so that was a good idea by Theodosis not to be too aggressive. And Fahu, he's almost able to afford the Panzer IV. He could even go for a Panther. I think he's in a spot where he has 2 Rakettens. He has a few mines down. He has a fair bit of options at his disposal here. He lost one of his Sturm Pioneer squads though, so he can't go for a Shrek now that he already has a Minesweeper. So maybe he was planning on eventually having that second Sturm Pioneer as a Shrek carrying squad.
Good to see this sniper here. It doesn't look like it's on hold fire. Takes a shot to reveal himself. Very, very close as well to walking over that mine. I hope that mine does go off at some point during this game to give some kind of good benefit. This mortar already on 1 kill.
It's forcing Fahu to move around a lot. Flush the MG out of that house in the middle. You have to play very differently about it. Infiltration nades over the hedge. Won't be dodged. Oh, it actually gets it in time. I think only one grenade detonated there, so not too bad. But it means that Church will go down to a second volley. Infiltration grenades, they're very good at denying houses. The north, though, is going to be Sturm Pioneers and Obers chasing after a squad of the Tommies. So I like how he has gone for the STG Obers. Even 2 squads of them could work pretty effectively. It's just the problem with Obers is they can die to the Cromwell so quickly.
My biggest surprise right now is the lack of minesweep. Oh no, they've just popped, I think, actually. Unless he just wasn't walking around with them. I've seen a couple of times Fahu hasn't been walking around with the minesweepers, and a couple of models we've already seen go down in that way. Double Raketans, not too bad at dealing with this. I mean, I always say at the moment, a strong tier 1 for OKW is very, very good. Theodosis, though, has just had such good game mechanics and game knowledge here. He's utilizing everything really, really well. And, of course, tactical support regiment for Theodosis. We may even get to see that classic artillery cover used later on in the game to completely immobilize Fahu's forces. Another Universal Carrier is coming on the field, so I'm guessing this is going to be used for the designated command vehicle. And of course that's going to make a real improvement to some of the units that Theodosis has on the field at the moment.
Works well with a mortar pit for the free recon. Able to spot those targets for your mortar pit to then barrage and force them out of position. So we see Fahu's being a little bit aggressive here, looking to cloak up his Raketans. So that's the one great thing as well about the cloaked Raketans is you can use them to cloak up to a mortar pit and then unleash that barrage, the volleys of the cloaked Raketans. So we have the Cromwells on the field now, but there's 2 Raketans stealthing up to it. It could be a Faust as well here from the Volks. This is going to be a very short-lived Cromwell.
Does actually manage to get out in time, though, with some great responses there from Theodosis. Very, very unfortunate engagements going all over the map at the moment for Fahu. He may lose Volks Grenadiers on the north side. The AEC is deciding to try and push up to turn the Raketans a little bit. Sniper as well. Ability for him to actually use the coordinated fire artillery, which would be a really, really nice one to use on that midpoint to give him a little bit of time to go up and push. And just loving some of the little things that Theodosis has managed to be doing whilst all these engagements are going on. We're seeing trenches go up on the fuel on the northern side, which is really going to help keep off OKW for a little bit longer. But Fahu, of course, has spotted that, and double Obersoldaten rolling in. I wonder if we're going to see double STGs here.
Yeah, yep, unlocking it already. And that's going to be a bit of a problem here for Theodosis, because there's no Brens, so the Obers are going to have complete dominance over the infantry sections, and even if Theodosis goes for the Brens, it's still hard to get good engagements with them on this map. Probably the best situations is actually if they're on a VP behind sandbags, but moving around the map is when they can get ambushed. So
I'm just a bit worried about, against the sniper, the kind of manpower damage we're going to be seeing here. Oh gosh, retreating through his own infiltration nades wipes a lot of the health of the squad, and Theodosis doesn't target, which means he misses the opportunity to perhaps wipe his squad there. Very, very unfortunate play from Fahu. But yeah, I mean, what's the reinforcement counter for Obersoldaten? How much are they? About
40
something? Is it 40?
It's 40.
Okay, so it's not as bad really, but it's still a lot really. Playing against the sniper, I think we've discussed before how effective they can be if they do catch the sniper off guard. But just look at the play from Theodosis with the recon now that's coming from the Universal Carrier. You know, he's going to be getting a lot of targets there.
So another Cromwell on the field. Theodosis dreaming big, as I knew he would. And especially with this commander, because then you have such good supporting abilities. You're going to have the arty cover, which you arty cover combined with a Cromwell dive. You suppress the infantry targets. You suppress, you pin even. So you pin Raketans. So the Raketans won't have much of a contribution in a tank engagement, and it doesn't get the crits anymore, I don't think, on the vehicles, but it still does damage. Vehicles will be hit with disabling howitzer fire. Because I know it used to do stuns and engine crits, and they nerfed that because it was really overpowered. I think it still does some vehicle damage. I can't remember what it does exactly though, but it's more anti-infantry its effect for the most part with the pins.
Yeah, I mean they removed a lot of the engine damage that came out of it, so you still kind of get the loss of vision in some places and things like that, but they did remove a lot of those anti-vehicle capabilities. It's still an absolutely devastating strike though, there's absolutely no doubt about that. Fahu making a strong push through the middle. Looks like he was going for the mortar pit, but I don't think he made the best play of that, if I'm honest. Two Cromwells doing very, very good job at defending there. Of course, one takes the left-hand side, does get engine damage, but it's not a problem for Theodosis at this point.
Fahu going for his King Tiger. Not too far off it as well, just needs to have 60 more fuel after having the mech truck. I think this is actually pretty smart here, because he wouldn't have had much of an impact with a Panzer IV or a Cromwell, I don't think. With the two, well, Panzer IV or a Panther, rather. The two Cromwells, especially with the AEC, it's a fair bit of mobile AT, and I think Panthers and P4s are vulnerable to being dived because they'll dive pretty quickly if you get rear armor, where because of just how strong that King Tiger is, it has so much health, 1280, and it has so much armor that even if the King Tiger's caught out of position, it gets flanked, chances are, if there's Raketans nearby, it's probably going to survive, and it can wipe squads very effectively with its strong AoE and its high damage. It's just the best tank in the game. You know, simple as that. And it's hard to get, but if you had the fuel advantage for this long, then you have the option. We do see Fahu has lost a lot of his map control because he didn't go for a vehicle. So it's a long-term reward versus a short-term investment. But more importantly, he's held the fuel point. Most importantly, he's held the fuel point. So he hasn't lost all of his fuel income, and he will have that quite shortly. About one minute now, I think.
Recon plane getting dealt with quite easily by the tier 4 there. And yeah, it's nice actually that the recon isn't getting the kind of benefits we used to see when people use recon. It has gone down fairly quickly every time it's been used, so I'm not going to say that it's too overpowering at the moment. It's something Fahu can definitely deal with. What I'm most looking forward to with the King Tiger is actually that it's going to be supported by two Raketans, which means that it's going to have very, very low chances of being flanked by the Cromwells and the AEC. So I think Fahu does have a good loadout at this point that he can use quite well. Question is, of course, is just whether Theodosis is going to be able to close the gap before he's able to use all of these. So look at the blob that's going over right now. He's got munitions to actually Faust a lot of this, so he could. There we go, AEC's been Fausted. Raketan's going to choose targets on the Cromwell, but I think the Cromwell's going to try and get away from this. They may even go for a crush. In fact, Fahu is actually forced to surrender his entire army, leaving the Cromwell and the AEC to go for some potential wipes. They're focusing the Raketan, because that's going to be the one they don't want to see return to the battlefield.
It's going to be the third Cromwell here for Theodosis. It may have been worth going for a Firefly instead. Oh, yeah, it gets wiped. It's in front of the Panzer headquarters, but you can take that one out.
Artillery cover has been unlocked as well now, so we could see a really, really strong push, maybe even a wipe of the tier 4 at this position in the game.
Raketan's there, so he should be able to keep this Panzer headquarters alive. Not that it really matters, though, because he has the King Tiger as a call-in, as well as the Command Panther as a call-in. So losing the Panzer headquarters at this stage wouldn't matter so much unless he would want to go for another sort of Obers in the late game, well, later on in the game. We're already at late game now, 23 minutes. And also having that Jagdpanzer IV can be a good option for mobile supporting AT if there's just a horde of medium tanks, but the obvious choice here is the King Tiger, and then the Command Panther as a follow-up to benefit that King Tiger, as well as just being a strong tank on its own.
Well, he's not too far off at the moment, but I mean, this has been a real gamble for him. He's had, as you said earlier, nothing to deal with a lot of the threats on the field other than use his infantry, and it's very, very difficult when you have Raketans. That's one of the things about the old OKW build, was that you became very flexible against kind of all threats when you had the rocket launchers, and it's just very difficult to do now with Stern Pioneers. He probably could have had a good opportunity with a double Stern Pioneers earlier, but really one always has to go Minesweepers. in order to kind of be effective at dealing with mines on the field. It's just a very, very difficult position for him right now. The Raketans just don't feel like they're able to deal with those engagements when tanks get close quick enough. It's very, very easy to drive around, very easy for OKW to spend a lot of their munitions as well, leaving them without...
Well, look at the munitions here for Theodosis. 550 munitions. He's going to have multiple arty covers. Might be worth going for weapon racks to get some Brens unlocked, but either way, he can use that twice. So he should be able to kill the King Tiger, I think. With 3 Cromwells, arty cover. I don't know. Fahu has to make sure he's not caught out of position.
I think he is going to be regardless, because if he goes in with the King Tiger quite strong, maybe even goes into the center, and the Cromwell does get, you know, quite close, artillery cover. I don't know if the King Tiger is actually fast enough to really escape artillery cover. Here it is on the field now. We'll see how this goes. I mean, it's not the quickest unit in the world. Artillery cover could do a lot of damage here and just allow the Cromwells to just box it in and annihilate it. On the other hand, it could be a very, very good defense on the middle VP. The northern VP could be held quite easily with infantry and Raketans, I think, as it is out of range of the mortar pit.
Theodosis is pop capped, so that's why he's floating up resources now. Can't build another Cromwell, even if he wanted to. And he could actually go for the forward observation post. It's a really bad ability because it just dies so easily and it's really expensive. But when you're pop capped, it doesn't cost you any pop cap. So maybe he's going in for the King Tiger here. He's calling in the arty cover. The third Cromwell. I think he's a little bit out of position here. Panzerfaust comes through on one of the Cromwells here, but he has a nice flank off. Will he be able to secure the kill here? It's really good kiting from the King Tiger. Another Cromwell's moving in, and the Raketans being pinned by the arty cover. King Tiger has the smoke now working in his favor, perhaps, but the rear armors is still exposed here.
This is an absolute mess at the moment. In fact, all the tanks seem to have turret locks, vision problems, but it looks like the Cromwells may come out on top of this engagement. Not looking good for Fahu. This is exactly the problem as well with the King Tiger. Not quick enough to move itself from the artillery cover. It has a slither of health left. The AEC is charging in. Cromwell trying to find the long shot. This is very, very difficult situation right now for Fahu.
Good luck.
I'm not sure the base defenses either are going to be able to take this down.
He pinned it. He pinned the King Tiger. Can he get a second shot off here? Cromwell's bouncing. Go for the... Oh, yes, the Raketan gets the Cromwell. Now the AEC, he bounces the front armor on that King Tiger. And there he goes. The King Tiger survives. What a great recovery from Fahu.
Yeah, I mean, that really was an all-in dive from Theodosis. I think one of the issues, though, he has is that the Cromwells just got too close to the King Tiger, ended up getting all of the received damage from arty cover on his own vehicles, and just allowing the strength of the King Tiger to really shine through that. I mean, it was a very, very close engagement, and Theodosis doesn't seem to have learned his lesson. He's going to go for the Cromwells again. Fahu has a great chance right now with all this vetted infantry. The King Tiger will rebuild so fast thanks to the support package that is on the Stern Pioneers, so that's going to be a quick repair as well. He does have the repair station too, so very good chance that this King Tiger can get back on the field, charge through the middle, and this could be a great comeback if Fahu can pull this off.
Yeah, very nice. I think it maybe Theodosis shouldn't have chased after the King Tiger. It probably was worth the chance of it in the base there with the Cromwell, because the Cromwell it had a third of its health, so it was going to die very quickly. And when you're trying to pen the front of a King Tiger, it's a huge gamble. You really have to flank the King Tiger if you're hoping for some penetration with a medium tank. But yeah, it was a nice try by Theodosis, and at least he has triple AT guns now, so he still has plenty of AT, and the VPs, it's only 135 left for Fahu, who currently has a triple cap over Theodosis, but Theodosis doesn't have to hold the VPs very long to close this game out. Still has plenty of munitions here for the next arty cover.
I think one of the things that's really going to go against Theodosis here, though, I mean, the positioning of the mortar pit, although it does a very good job of covering the mid, it's not going to be able to do much once the King Tiger is there. A little bit of support from the Raketans. I don't think, even with artillery cover as we just saw, Theodosis is going to get that much success. He can't get that third Cromwell anymore, I don't believe, due to pop cap with the 3AT guns. So it's an interesting one there. I wonder if Fahu maybe would consider going for something like a Stuka now to just really harass these AT guns, and he may be in a very good position at this point. But again, you know, Mortar not being able to deal with a lot of stuff on the north side, I think it puts Theodosis at a little bit of a disadvantage there now.
With 3 AT guns, a Command Panther wouldn't have an impact. He'll get forced away too easily. Doesn't have... Oh, loses the Obers in the church to that Cromwell. Oh dear, that's a big blow. Whoops.
What a shame as well, but Fahu isn't that far off of his pop cap at the moment, so it's not too much for him to rebuild. He should have enough left on the map to still deal with all of this at present. King Tiger is having to be kept quite far on the back lines right now, just because he doesn't know what to expect against Theodosis. I think Fahu may be enjoying some of the time that he's managed to gain himself after that push earlier.
Well, at least it opens up Fahu's pop cap, so now he can maybe go for a Stuka and a Command Panther if he wants to eventually. It's probably not worth rebuilding the Obers. The threat is the AT guns and the Cromwell. The infantry engagements are still going to be in the favour of Fahu. That I think one more Ober squad would just be a little bit overkill. He's chasing after the AT guns though. He wants to take them out, but they all have the bonus from the command vehicle.
This is quite a big push there. It looks like an incendiary grenade goes in on the mortar pit. King Tiger is going to come through this side of the church. Fortunately, it doesn't look like there's any mines on that side at the moment. May catch one of the Cromwells off guard. Look at the damage on that. Absolutely beautiful. No chance of a flank here at this point, although artillery cover is available if he feels he needs it.
It's a really nice spot for the King Tiger because you can't flank it. In between the church and the other little house, there's no room to move around. So you have to flank along the road, which you can then make sure you have a Raketan supporting that, which Fahu did. He had a Raketan facing towards the road. Probably would have been better off facing the King Tiger because you get one shot off on the Cromwell if it goes for the flank in that position. What you really want to have it is actually facing the King Tiger, so the Cromwell can't stay at rear armor getting those pen shots.
I really want to see Fahu salvage the units that are in his base. I mean, Theodosis really did gift him a couple of salvage points there. And he probably needs to get on top of that so he can get that fuel in for another attacking option. I am interested to see what Fahu's going to go here, though. You know, 26 points to spend on pop caps, so it's the next decision is going to be a big one, really. I think Stuka is going to be the best option.
The plane crashes down where the ISG, or where the Raketan was. Fortunately, the Raketan, he sensed his imminent doom and moved away from that. The plane not quite burning the Obers as well that are standing quite literally on fire. Mortar pit survived as well. I think killing that mortar pit would have even benefited Theodosis, because that would have opened him up for another tank.
We may have just seen what was called down then. Perhaps infantry using base artillery. Can we see that
Would
it's
have been
firing?
the sniper that used it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's an interesting one. Then now we got artillery coming in. There's got a very low health Volks Grenadier. Vet 5 just goes down for Fahu. So great pick up there from Theodosis. These are not the kind of units that Fahu wants to be losing right now.
Could even lose the Tommies. No, he retreats. So this is now where things are getting a little bit worse for Fahu here. Not only did he lose his Obers, he's also lost his Volk. So Theodosis now is no longer behind in squads, especially if he goes for the squad sizes and for the Brens, which he probably should. He has the resources for it. Maybe he doesn't want to get the pop cap on his Tommies, but at least get the Brens. I like the trench though. We'll give his Vickers extra range and survivability as well.
I really do get the sense that Theodosis is gearing up for something special again. Maybe we'll see another push. Of course, he's only got the 2 Cromwells this time. Might consider stacking up a little more in the way of fuel before he goes in, just so he can replace anything if everything goes wrong. Fahu doesn't look like he's got that many options on the table right now. Needs to be so careful of these Volksgrenadiers. Again, staying maybe a little bit too long in that engagement. Cromwell has every chance right now to wipe. It's a late retreat.
King Tiger from the front can take those AT guns out very easily, with little chance of them penning. So
Just moving the Cromwell over to the right side VP to allow these Tommies to push up. They can't quite get past the Vet 5 Volksgrenadiers at the moment, but once the green sandbag goes down, they are going to be clear to move in. Rakettans look like they're moving up to the right-hand side to try and deal with it. They won't be able to do it in time, though. This is a dangerous clumped-up position for Fahu here. Could lose quite a few models if the right hit comes in from the Cromwell.
almost has the Panther.
Oh, God! You just knew that was going to happen.
Did that one-shot the squad?
Yeah,
Oh dear.
yeah. You can tell, and I think this is one of the things, you know, you really do need to focus on making sure that your models aren't clumped up together. It does happen naturally in some places, but there are dots on the ground that you can visibly move your squad so that they're in better positions, and it's absolutely essential if you're going to be playing up against things like Cromwell's.
That's 3 wipes now for Fahu. He has his Command Panther, but his King Tiger's only at about 2/3 health, so he is vulnerable to this all-in. And the thing is about this command vehicle is it gives recon. So Theodosis knows where the King Tiger is. If it's vulnerable, he can see the supporting units that he has nearby, and the Rakettan's going to get revealed. He kills the trench, but he may get forced away by the sniper and the squads of infantry as well. So this could set up the all-in coming out of Fahu, of Theodosis. And bear in mind, Fahu only has 35 VPs left, so
I'm not convinced there's going to be another push, if I'm honest. I think he's going to sit on the VPs, you know. Triple cap, we've got a VP per second going down at the moment. Fahu has absolutely no time whatsoever. He needs to just mobilize the King Tiger straight away to take a VP. Otherwise, 20 seconds of the game left. I don't know if he's actually got time to get into a point and capture it right now. And even if he does, artillery cover is going to rain down and probably seal this game. So I'm quite comfortably going to say right now that Theodosis has won the first game here. Been a very good game. Great comeback from Fahu at one point, and then Theodosis again, just keeping everything very, very cool. And let's see how he plays with the Axis in his next game.
yeah, this was a great match. I like that big play there. It was a little bit cringeworthy watching all those Cromwells get hit by the what is it, the main gun loader injured.
Cover.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that lowers their rate of fire. And so what that means is that the Cromwells, they may have been able to actually take out that King Tiger if they weren't suffering from that reload debuff, as well as obviously just the raw damage. So yeah, hopefully Theodosis learned his lesson there, but either way, he played a very smart game. I loved how he transitioned out of that. He burned through all of his fuel bank. He then decided to go for the 6-pounders, because he had the pop cap for it, he had the manpower floated up. So you could go for that, and that limited the King Tiger, where normally the King Tiger, it may have been able to just go very aggressive, knowing that there was only 1 or 2 Cromwells on the field, but with those AT guns, he couldn't do much at all.
No, I think we needed to see that Stuka really in that game. It would have been a real benefit to him to have had the Stuka there. I think, again, maybe with some squad preservation, like he lost a few things, unfortunately. We saw some Volksgrenadiers, we saw Obersoldaten go down, which may have led him to have a little bit of manpower to spend on the Stuka. I think the Stuka would have been brilliant because it really would have negated the AT guns that were dealing with the King Tiger. You know, and two Rakettans and a King Tiger would be absolutely fine if not for the triple AT guns. So it kind of counts that is the better option there. I don't really feel that Special Operations also was the best commander.
Yeah, I
for
agree.
him.
Yeah, it didn't do much.
I really